That's right, everybody. Dodgers season is over. The Stephen A. Smith laugh, that's him, just for context. That's him when the Cowboys lose or something like that because he hates Cowboys fans. So he laughs when the Cowboys, obviously, like all the time, let their fans down. That's how I feel about when the Los Angeles Dodgers lose every postseason. I just laugh, and it's just hilarious because these Dodger fans, they get so like confident and cocky, and they love trashing on Padres fans and trashing on other fan bases about how good their team is. They love to yap, 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 yap. But pretty much every October, they do nothing in the postseason. Just look at the last 2 years here. 2022, what happens? They win one game against the Padres. 2023, what happens? They win 0 games. And Dodger fans, they're going to blame the injuries. But it's like, oh, well, aren't you the same fan base that says no excuses in the regular season when other teams are hit with injuries? And they're like, well, with injuries here, there was no problem here. And then postseason comes and you talk about the injuries. Can't have it both ways there. And then some fans are going to want to bring up, oh, the rust, the postseason format. Shut up. How about just say our stars sucked? Mookie wasn't good. Freddie wasn't good. We weren't good enough. They played better. I think that's what Dave Roberts said, but some Dodger fans can't say that. They have to pull up the excuses. And the playoff format stuff, oh my gosh. Give me a break with that. So you'd rather play in the wild card series, maybe on the road, you'd rather play in the wild card series, have to pitch your best starting pitchers just to get to the division series, not have the time off, and then you pitch your 3 or 4 starter in game 1, game 2 because you can't pitch the top of the rotation because you use the top of the rotation in the wild card series just to get to the division series. You'd rather have that situation than get the time off, be able to set your rotation, make sure guys are good, and have home field advantage for the division series. Give me a break. Just stop. So those are just excuses. Dodgers, they're in the same spot the Padres are now, right? I'm not trying to make it seem like the Padres had this great season and the Dodgers had a crap season. If you want to pick who had the more successful season, you probably pick the Dodgers because they won the division. They, made it to the postseason, had the home field advantage, right? Like they still made it there. The Padres didn't even make it to the postseason. But it's it's still funny. It's still funny that the Padres and the Dodgers this year, they end up with the same amount of postseason wins. And the Dodgers were a team that was actually in the postseason and were favorites over the Diamondbacks in the division series. And they win 0 games. And Mookie Betts is up there and gets 0 hits. And Freddie Freeman's up there, he gets 1 hit. And Clayton Kershaw's up there on the mound and he gets 1 out. Their rotation pitched like less than 5 innings combined. And Dave Roberts, typical October Dave Roberts, out there and lets Lance Lynn, he's just sitting on his butt in the dugout. Lets Lance Lynn, say that's 5 times fast, lets Lance Lynn give up 4 home runs in 1 inning to the Diamondbacks. And this isn't the Phillies lineup or the Braves lineup. I'm not saying that the Diamondbacks lineup shouldn't have our respect. Like, there's still good guys in there, obviously. Gabriel Moreno and Christian Walker, I think, is one of the more underrated players in all of baseball. Corbin Carroll, obviously. Ketel Marte. Like, there's talent there. I'm not saying there isn't. But it's not the 1927 New York Yankees or the 2023 Atlanta Braves lineup, released from the regular season. I know the Phillies have that series lead. But it's like, man, you let in a must-win game, you let Lance Lynn be out there for that long. When you were pulling your other guys, you let Lance Lynn give up 4 home runs in 1 inning. And the Dodgers, they're probably going to keep Dave Roberts because he keeps, getting them into the postseason, and they continue to have these great regular seasons, and they continue to win the NL West. So The Dodgers are probably like, well, who are we going to bring in here who is better than Dave Roberts? But I hope that I think a lot of fan bases are like, yeah, please keep Dave Roberts because the postseason success, it's not there. 2020, okay, but you're telling me that you would have had the same postseason results in 2020 if it was a full season with the Dodgers? I don't believe that. Their rotation would have been that healthy. Everyone would have been that healthy in the postseason if it was a full season. I just don't see that. So, yeah, there's an asterisk by that World Series. Definitely. And in every other full season, it's not like they go deep all the time in those postseasons. No. Last couple years, they've done like nothing. One postseason win. So, join us on the couch, Dodgers. Dodger fans, Dodger players, hopefully you enjoy your vacation. You probably scheduled it for this time anyway because you knew, this is just what you do. It's an annual tradition. You flop in the division series. So join us on the couch. It was a bad year for both teams. It was a bad year for the Dodgers because what matters the most is what happens in the postseason. That's what matters the most, and they did nothing. And for the Padres, they didn't even make the postseason. So for both teams, it was a bad year. So we're in the same boat for that. Now, moving on to Padres season reviews. Yu Darvish is the one that's going to happen today. If you're missing these Padres player season reviews, which I'm doing every day, Monday through Friday, at least until like some big Padres news happens or something. Padres player reviews every day. Sometimes I'm going to group some of the players together. Some days, like the first 3 days here, it's going to be just the individual player. It's not going to be a super long, hour-long show. The Cronenworth one, because I was live. This one, by the way, for the YouTube audience, podcast audience, this one is not live streamed. I wanted to kind of make this a little bit shorter today because that's what I was promising. And yesterday kind of went like almost an hour. So I wanted to have these be a little bit shorter and just really focus on the player review. But I'm not gonna have every one of these just be recorded and then putting out. Like some of them will be live. But today I'm just gonna record this one, put it out. Hopefully y'all like it. And obviously you can give your comments and your questions in the comment section on YouTube as always. But yeah, Monday through Friday is the plan. So I think that's going to be pretty much every day during the week throughout the rest of October, getting through these player reviews. And then once the offseason starts, that's when we can really start, getting into the future of this Padres team. I'll be talking about the future of this Padres team throughout the month still in these player reviews. Like, what is the future of player X? Like, what is the future of Yu Darvish, which I'll talk about today. But real like player off-season targets, off-season trade targets, all that rumors, that'll probably be happening once the World Series ends because that's when that'll start because we're still in the postseason here, obviously. All right, so Yu Darvish, let's get started with that. So with Darvish, his numbers from this year: a 2.4 fWAR, 24 starts, 136 and a third innings, 4.56 ERA, a 1.298 WHIP. So hopefully that can get down next year. 141 strikeouts, 43 walks, 18 home runs, 8 hit by pitches. When I look at the positives, and for anyone that wants to maybe read some more about this, I am doing player reviews on Gaslamp Ball as well, but just for the um, audio format, video format. I'm doing them over here on the show as well. But positives, I do positives and negatives. So positives for Darvish this year, there were times, if you go through his game logs, there were times where we saw like the good Yu Darvish. And it was like, oh, that's why they gave him this big contract. 6, 7 innings, 11 games where he went 6 or more innings, allowed 2 or fewer earned runs, but it just wasn't as consistent. He didn't do it as much as he probably needed to, and the injuries got to him a little bit. And this, the 6-year extension worth more than $100 million, like it didn't get off to a good start. The restructuring of the contract, adding on some of the years, it didn't get off to a good start. It just was not good enough. He allowed 4 or more runs in 11 outings this year, so that kind of like cancels out all of the really good outings that he had. Padres ended up being 9-15 in games that Darvish started, and it wasn't like Blake Snell, where Blake Snell, it didn't feel like he got a ton of run support for like the first half of the season, especially. And a lot of those games they were losing. With Darvish, I mean, he just put the Padres in a lot of holes. I know this is like nitpicking one outing, but I look back at the Pittsburgh Pirates outing at home where he just crapped the bed. And it's like, well, the Padres, they're not going to win that game. You put the Padres in such a big hole, they're not going to come back and win that game, especially with the offense and how much it struggled. And ERA is not everything, but you look at the ERA, 4.56. That's not someone that you're paying $100+ million. Like that's not it's not good enough. Just bottom line, that's not good enough. Padres have him signed here through 2028. And so when you look at this past season, yeah, Padres fans are going to be like, oh crap, this isn't going to work out well, is it? Now with Darvish, the good thing with Darvish is he knows what he's doing. And he was dealing with he was the one with the bone spurs, right? In his elbow. Musgrove had the shoulder. Bone spur, elbow. Hopefully there's no surgery that is needed. Hopefully the recovery and the rehab is going to be good for Darvish here in this offseason, and he'll be fine for the start of the 2024 season. But that is a question mark. And it's like, oh, well, he's not getting any younger. No one is, but he's up there in age. And the Padres, they gave him this contract where it's like, what other team in baseball would have given Yu Darvish a 6-year contract like this? Maybe you give him 100 mil, but you give him it for like 4 years. But the Padres wanted to keep the AAV down, so that's why they gave him 6 years. And if they have to release him after 4 years, then they'll probably just do that and eat the rest of the money. Or maybe another team will take him. I doubt it. But they were willing to do that because they wanted to keep Yu Darvish long term. They didn't know about Blake Snell, and Blake Snell is younger than Yu Darvish. And even before Blake had this Cy Young season, he was probably going to get more money than Yu Darvish was going to get on the free agent market. So the Padres were like, let's just do this with Darvish, lock him and Musgrove down, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the rotation. If Snell didn't have a Cy Young year, maybe the Padres thought that they could have brought him back as well, but he has a Cy Young year, and he's going to be asking for $200 million maybe at the start of the offseason. The Padres aren't going to be in on that, So it was kind of like Bogarts, I think. I kind of compare that. Like Bogarts, I mean, it's $280 million. Like that's an overpay. And maybe that's how it was with Cronenworth as well, with Kim, Bogarts, and Soto. Bogarts, let's just get him. We can guarantee having him, and we'll have Soto for a couple of years. We can't guarantee that we're going to have that we're going to be able to lock down Juan Soto. We can't guarantee that we'll have Ha-Sung Kim. So let's go lock down Jake Cronenworth, even though we don't need to. Let's go lock down Yu Darvish and give him more years than any other team in baseball would probably give him. Give him over $100 million because we don't know if we're going to be able to keep Blake Snell. So let's just do it. And Darvish, it's kind of like Bogarts. I know it's totally separate positions, but Darvish is not someone that I'm going to, give up on and be like, oh man, really bad start to this contract. This contract's going to look like crap. I'm not going to sit there and say that yet. I want to give it a little bit more time. If he has a bad 2024 season, then it's going to be like, okay, well, the Padres locked him down here for what? For these like last prime years of his career, probably 23, 24, 25, 26. I don't know what you're going to get out of him in 2026. That's a long way down the road. But you locked him down here for these years. It's just like Manny and Bogarts. You lock these guys down for the primes of their careers. Like you need to win. You need to have good performances from these players because this contract is going to look really bad if you don't get the winning in these prime years, if you don't get these amazing seasons out of these prime years, right? And Darvish, some would say he's not even in his prime anymore, and the Padres still gave him this contract, and I guess that's fair when you look at like the age that Yu Darvish is at, and you look at some other players, and it's like that's That's really the prime. Darvish is at 37 already. That's not prime. That's not the prime years, right? What is the prime years? 27 to 32, 33. Is that what we look at as prime years? But with Darvish, I think he's one of those guys that can age well. He just has to hit his spots. He's someone that it feels like every year he is developing a new pitch. Now, what was the problem this year with Darvish? Injuries, yes, but he got knocked around a little bit um, in some of these starts where again it looked like okay, wow, he doesn't have the same stuff. But then there were some outings where it's like, no, he still has the stuff. So you know how yesterday I was saying the Jake Cronenworth year, it's a little bit confusing. This year for Darvish was a little bit confusing as well. If I go to Darvish and look up not just some of the simple stats, because you look at the innings, he almost had 200 innings in 2022. And this past year, he had 136 and a third. Like, it's not even close. He was dealing with injuries, but 2022, he was top 10 in Cy Young. 2020 short season, he finished second in Cy Young. He was an all-star in 2021. So, like, it's been there. Um, but again, it just wasn't a good start to this new contract that he signed going into the 2023 season. Padre fans obviously had they had higher expectations than what Yu Darvish was able to deliver for this Padres team. Runs against per nine, way up, 469 in 2023. It was 310 in 2022. Starts were down, 6 less starts, but that's because he missed time with injury at the end of the year, obviously. Um, he had a 4.4 WAR last year, .7 baseball reference WAR this year. Like, it wasn't close. Runs better than replacement level, RAR, 43 in 2022, 8 in 2023. So I'm guessing that 2022 is better. It's baseball reference here, says here, it is the number of runs this player is better than a replacement player. Replacement is set for a 294 team winning percentage, developed by Sean Smith of baseballprojection.com. So I'm looking at 2020 in the Cy Young year. That was a high number. 2019 was a high number. Some of his best years, yeah, higher numbers. So yeah, okay. So higher the better. So 43 last year, 8 in 2023. So I'm thinking that yeah, a big step back in 2023 was Yu Darvish's season compared to 2022, what the Padres have gotten out of Darvish since he has been with the Padres. You look at like the ERA, obviously, right? It doesn't, shine. It's not shining. 2021 4.22, not sub 3 in 2022. 2023, obviously this year 4.56. It's not great, but I think just from the eye test last year, we saw like, okay, yeah, Darvish. I mean, he really helped this Padres team. It was much better. Where it gets troubling for me this year was age 37, just gave him this long contract, and it's not a great start to the new contract. Um, Again, like I said earlier, like if you look at the positives, you'll see the innings, and it's like you look at the game log, 6 and a third, 7 innings, 6 innings, 6 and 2/3, 6 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings. Like that's not I'm not talking about like back to back to back like that was every outing. I'm just going through some of his starts and I'm seeing a lot of those numbers there. Like he had a good amount of those, but not enough. And then, in those starts in between where he went like 5 innings, 5 and a third, he's given up 4 runs. He's given up 6 runs. He's given up a couple home runs. He gave up 4 home runs in the Pittsburgh outing. Like he's got to find a way to limit the long ball, or at least have them be solo home runs. Because if he doesn't, I mean, that's taking. I know the Padres at least we're hoping that they're going to have a better offense in 2024. But when you're putting your team behind like that, it's hard. It's hard to go win those games. And obviously the bullpen didn't really help out later in the year, especially after like the good start that they had. Middle of the year, it was shaky, and that obviously didn't help either. I'm curious what Darvish's baseball savant numbers look like here. And obviously, in the comments on YouTube here, feel free to give your thoughts on Darvish's 2023 season. Do you think he needs to what do you think he needs to improve? When you were watching his starts, did you see something? Because he's always gonna try to improve, and he has a bunch of different pitches, so that's what gives me confidence that he'll be able to last here, and it won't be a terrible contract. But he's gonna have to rely on location. Michael Walker has to rely on location. The fastball, it's still there, like, you can still see the fastball's there at times, but yeah, he's definitely gonna have to rely on that location as he ages. Um, didn't get a lot of like, the chase rate was blue in Baseball Savant, which is bad, 28th percentile, so could be better on that. Um, there's not a lot of, like, dark red, and dark red is great on Baseball Savant. There isn't that. There's some, like, off speed, run value, whatever that is, 72nd percentile, barrel percentage, 71st percentile. So, not a lot of barrels, but for someone that you're giving it's Yu Darvish, like, it's a big name. Someone that you're giving a long contract to like that, you expect to see some more dark red than where Darvish was at, you know? I get he's 37, but it definitely was a step back, and the hope is that, okay, he has a this is where, like, if you wanna look at this positively, right? You can definitely look at this negatively, like, "Oh my gosh, they have this guy till he's 42," or whatever the age is gonna be, and not a good start. They gave this guy over $100,000,000 when they could have just given it to Blake Snell or whatever you wanna say, or to Sonny Gray here in free agency or whoever, right? You can look at it negatively, but if you wanna look at it positively, you could it's easy to look at it positively. Oh, he has a lot of pitches. He's a vet. He knows how to prepare. He knows what he's doing wrong. He was dealing with an injury, bone spur in his elbow. Um, is he going to be dealing with that next year? If he's not, then we should probably expect a better Yu Darvish, right? So I'm trying to look at it positively there because it's really easy to look at it. I think it's easier to look at it negatively. I know I just said that it's easy to look at it positively. It's easy both ways. Like, positively, injury, lot of pitches, it's Yu Darvish, track record, right? 2022, he was effective. 2021, he was kind of effective, right? And then if you want to look at it negatively, though, man, he's 37. There's other questions in the rotation with Musgrove and his shoulder. Who even's going to be in the rest of the rotation? They need Yu Darvish. They don't have a bunch of money, $100+ million that they can go give Blake Snell, um, or give another younger person that's actually in his prime starting pitcher. Like, there's questions with Yu Darvish. Like, there's questions with a lot of guys going into next year. Um, I'm just and I'm sure some are like, "Well, great analysis, Ben." But this is it's what I got. Like, it was a disappointing season from Darvish, and it needs to be better. And I feel like I'm gonna be saying that a lot with these Padres players, which I am. It's not I feel like I am. I am going to be saying that a lot because 2023 just overall was a down year. And I think Darvish would say it was a down year for him. It was a disappointing end. And he would say he needs to go deeper in outings. Like, going into this season, I looked at Yu Darvish, I look at Blake's or not Blake, definitely not Blake. Even though he did do it in 2023, props to him for that. I look at Joe, I look at Darvish as guys like, okay, let's go. I am excited to watch this guy pitch because he is going to give me 6 innings, maybe work into the seventh. You're going to get 6 innings out of Darvish or Musgrove. Like, I just rely on that. And then when that doesn't happen and the bullpen's shaky, that's where it becomes trouble because you look at the game logs, as I touched on, there's plenty of 6 inning outings here, but I shouldn't say plenty, not enough for Yu Darvish's expectations that we have for him. 5 innings, 5 2/3 innings, 5 1/3, 2.2 innings, 5 1/3, 5 innings, 5 innings, 4 1/3, 5 innings, and his last outing was 4 innings. Again, those aren't all like consecutive, but those are just those that you look at the game logs and it sticks out like, that's not really a Yu Darvish typical outing, right? I mean, compare it to 2022 and the game logs that we saw from Darvish there. Sure, there was an inning and 2/3 in San Francisco, right? But there's it was 6 inning outings all of April besides that outing. 5 and 2/3 in May, one outing against the Braves, but it was 7 innings, 6 and 2/3 in May. In June, it was 7 and 2/3, 7 innings, 8 innings, seven innings, 6 innings. In July, it was 6 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings. In August, it was 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 8 1/3, 7 innings. In September, it was 7 innings, 6 innings, 8 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings. Like, there were not starts there, like, nowhere close to as many outings as he had this year compared to last year. In 2022, how many starts did he have less than 6 innings? One, two, two outings, less than 6 innings, all of 2022 in the regular season. It was just different in 2023. In 2023, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 outings. 5 times the amount of outings in 2023 compared to 2022 in starts going less than 6 innings. Like Darvish, we just know him. That's like a big point here. Like part of how you can spin this positively is this wasn't the real Yu Darvish, right? He was dealing with an injury. Like he's going to get back to being that quality start Yu Darvish, right? But for the negative crowd, you could be like, well, no, this could be the new Yu Darvish because who knows what's going to happen? Is he going to bounce back from the injury, the bone spur in his elbow, right? Is he going to bounce back from that? Is he going to need surgery from that? He's 37 now. He's going to be in his age, I think, 38 season next year. Is he going to bounce back? If he's not, well, that's a big question mark in the rotation because he's supposed to be at the top of your rotation. You're probably not bringing Blake Snell back. Joe Musgrove, shoulder, what's going to happen there? Who's even going to be in the rest of the rotation? With Walker probably going in free agency, or they could bring him back, but $16 million a year, that might be a risk. Nick Martinez, we'll see what happens there. Seth Lugo, we'll see what happens there. He's declining the player option, going to go to free agency, you would think. Is it Pedro Avila going to be in the back of the rotation? There obviously would be questions there. Like, so Darvish is a big point. It's a big thing here with this Padres team. So, yeah, hoping for the best, hoping for much better in 2024 from Yu Darvish than what he gave the Padres in 2023. No doubt about that. So, your thoughts on Yu Darvish's season, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for listening or watching here, episode 49, Talking Friars. Before I let you go, just wanted to shout out the partners of the show here, FOCO. Click the link in the description for some great Padres bobbleheads and collectibles. Gaglione Bros, the main sponsor of the show. They have been great to me. They have the best cheesesteaks, garlic fries in San Diego. Definitely go check them out. Their main location is on Friars Road. Menu, address, all that stuff, phone number, link in the description there for Gaglione Bros, cheesesteaks, and garlic fries. Breaking Tea, click the link in the description there for some great San Diego sports swag, Padres, Aztecs, Wave, Underdog Fantasy. They will give you a 100% deposit match, up to $100 if you use my code Talking Friars or click the link in the description. Playoff baseball, there's a lot of pick'ems. NFL season, obviously, college football, college basketball is coming up. WNBA finals are going on. Aces have a 2-0 lead there. There's a lot to make picks on there with Underdog Fantasy. Go check them out there. Click the link in the description for that. And SeatGeek, code Talking Friars, $20 off your order there. Not just Padre games, but if you're going to another postseason game or you're going to, I think they have concerts on there. They have a lot of stuff. So SeatGeek, code Talking Friars, helping you out there, save some money. That's going to do it. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Again, give your thoughts in the comments on YouTube. If you have not subscribed already, please subscribe. I encourage you to do so and turn on those notifications so you don't miss when the next season review comes out. You don't miss when the next live stream is happening. You don't miss when the next other video comes out. And podcast listeners, thank you so much. I'd appreciate it if you left a review for the show as well. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Go Pods.